Hi guys, this is Jack from Team Empire, and today we're covering a lot of new information. We have 3 generic cards for DBT12 Evanfall Onslaught. Those cards are Dragon Empire cards, including a new generic triple rare that might be a cycle. Along with that, we have the start of the Quintessential Quintuplets collab first at 12. Almost a collab set, it's not a collab set. But we have 5 new ride lines for Quintessential Quintuplets. One of them is for Dragon Empire, that one being Ichika. Before we get started, I wanted to clarify a couple things that I want to apologize for. If some of y'all wanted us to do Token Rambu support, we didn't at first because I didn't really want to do Token Rambu because I didn't think the Token Rambu cards would actually be relevant to the overall meta. Come to find out, they are. One of the decks is actually pretty good and has recently topped in Japan. So I wanted to apologize for not including those, and from now on we will include collab sets, whether they're in main sets or they're in dedicated sets of their own, because collab sets are starting to become stronger. So I want to cover everything I can for the people who are interested. So I want to apologize for that, and we will change our ways of doing things on these videos. But we're going to start off with the generic cards first, and then we'll go over the Ichika Ride line, which has a ton of cards. So this might actually be a really long one. So the first card we have is a rare from set 12, Fierce Dragon Firing Rex. It's a grade 1 that says Auto Rigard Circle. When this unit boosts, if your Vanguard has a critical of 2 or more, cost Counterblast 1, draw a card. Overall, a pretty nice card for decks like Bavsargra, which can draw additional cards, and you can put it behind a rear guard, not Bavsargra herself, just to give extra draws to Bavsargra. Even though the deck already draws a lot, it's still kind of a turn 3 card, and Bavsargra does use a little bit of CB, but it's nice to have. On top of that, Griffergilla also gets 2 crit. So if you're going to play this in Griffergilla, it's actually pretty nice, because that Griffergilla doesn't actually use that much CB in Dragon Empire, it uses mostly Soul. So turning those extra CB you might have into draws is actually very nice, very important for the deck. So overall, I like this card a lot, and it's only going to get better with time. The next card we have is a double rare, which is Drag Ritter Bathura, who is in 10k grade 2 that has the effect auto. When discarded from your hand during your battle phase, put this card into your soul and choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the back row and retire it. So this is kind of nice. If it was released way earlier, like before Halb, I would say this is an absolute staple in Dragonic Overlord. But since Halb is the main card you want to discard in Dragonic Overlord, could not say that fast, it's not really necessary anymore. On top of that, the only other deck you'd really want to play this in is Vermilion, because it does ramp your soul, and it also retires rear guards, which could actually fulfill the condition of your Eternal Thunderbolt to give your front row plus 5k. So maybe if you have extra space in your Vermilion list, you could play this in there just to get some extra soul and retires. Overall, a pretty nice card. And then finally, we have the triple rare, which I'll talk about more than those other 2 cards, is Red Treasure Beast Garnet, who is a grade 1 who has the effect auto. When this unit is placed on Rigard Circle or Guardian Circle, put a total of 2 cards that were originally in your ride deck from your soul or drop zone into your ride deck face up. Then perform the following based on where this unit was placed. If it was placed on Rigard Circle, you draw a card. If it was placed on Guardian Circle, until end of battle, this unit gets shield plus 15k. So this is a very versatile card, which me and many other members of the team think is going to be part of a cycle. They haven't explicitly said it's going to be part of a cycle, but it might be. But if it's not, it's a really interesting effect to give to Dragon Empire. Very versatile. You can only use it twice per game, which is the worst part about it, but it's completely free and actually doesn't use soul, because if you soul blast those cards out, you just put them in your drop, which is really cool. So the draw skill is nice. A unit that can replace itself for free is very cool, but I like the shield effect. It's a 20k shield. Even for decks that might have a lot of empty space, maybe like flex slots, like 2 of flex spots, you can just play 2 of this guy. And then you can only use them twice per game, so if you need them, you can use them. Overall, a very nice and interesting triple rare that fits right in with generic triple rares in Overdress. Next up, we have the start of the Quintessential Quintuplets Ride Lines with Ichika, and we have the shared gimmick between all 5 of these new ride lines. So the first card we have is the starter, which is a generic starter That is the Quintessential Quintuplets, obviously, and it is a quintuplets card. That is its race, which is very important for like every single card here, so I will continue to point that out when cards have it. Which this one has the effect auto when rode upon by a grade 1 quintuplets. If you win second, draw a card. It's the same as every other starter, but it is important because it is a quintuplets card, so every single one of the quintuplets ride line will need the starter. Then we have, before we go over their crest, because they do have a crest, we have the grade 1, which is after the school festival, Ichika Nakano. It is a quintuplets card, and from now on, the ride line cards will be Dragon Empire, so you can only play her and Dragon Empire cards in her deck. Auto, when this unit is placed upon Quintessential Quintuplets, gain a Memories of the Quintuplets crest. Then has the effect continuous on Guardian Circle. If you have 3 or more different named quintuplets in your memory, this unit gets shield plus 5k. So we'll go over the Memories of the Quintuplets card in a second, but overall a pretty nice card. From what the deck seems to do, because I did read these cards before, you need to have multiple quintuplets in your memory. So doing that, you need to play maximum copies of pretty much everything in your deck. So it makes sense why this card would have a Guardian Circle effect in that case. And for a Guardian Circle effect, it's pretty nice. For a card that's mandatory to play in your deck, having that card be a 10k shield is very nice. Now we're going to go over the crest that it creates, which is Memories of the Quintuplets. It's a crest, like I just said. It's a generic crest, which means that probably each of the grade 1s for the ride lines are going to create a crest on ride. And it has 3 effects. Continuous, you cannot ride cards other than quintuplets, and your order zone is treated as your memory. Continuous, when you put a card without quintuplets into your order zone, put it into your drop zone instead. Act, once per turn, costs Soul Blast 1. Look at cards from the top of your deck equal to the grade of your Vanguard. Choose up to 1 quintuplets card from among them, place it into your memory, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. If you placed a unit card with the same card name as a card in your memory, you may call it to Rearguard Circle instead. So, that third ability is almost like the Monster Box, except worse, because maximum you'll only be able to look at 3 cards from the top of your deck when you're on grade 3, but it is pretty nice to fill up your memory. And from what we've seen with Ichika, she doesn't use any soul, so being able to use this card for your Soul Blast cost is very nice. Overall, not much to say here about this card because it's only really good once we look at the rest of the cards. It's just a engine that you need in order to get your deck going. So that's the reason why we're going to be really short on the crest here. Next up, we have the grade 2 for the ride line, which is returning from America, Ichika Nakano, who says, auto, when this unit is placed upon a grade 1 quintuplets, look at 7 cards from your deck, choose up to 1 quintuplets card from among them, place it in your memory, and shuffle your deck. Then, continuous in Rearguard Circle. During your turn, if your opponent's Rearguard is retired during this turn, this unit gets plus 5k power. If you have 5 or more different named quintuplets in your memory, it gets plus 10k power as opposed to 5k power. So, very nice grade 2. Being able to look at top 7 and find one of your combo pieces and put it into your memory is very nice. And if you already have that card in your memory, you can use the crest's effect to just call that card from your order zone. That second effect's okay. Getting 5k power is nice, but the condition to getting 10k seems a little steep. I haven't actually tested this deck yet because it just came out, but it seems like getting 5 cards in your memory will need like a massive high roll by your first turn 3. So maybe this is like a turn 4 skill, and for that, I don't know if it's really worth it. Quintessential Quintuplets Ichika Nakano is our grade 3, who says, auto, when placed on Vanguard Circle, look at 7 cards from your deck, choose up to 2 quintuplet cards from among them, reveal them to your opponent, add one of them to your hand, and place the rest into your memory, and shuffle your deck. Then, continuous Vanguard Circle. If you have 6 or more different named quintuplets in your memory, when your opponent would call cards from their hand to Guardian Circle, they must call 2 or more cards from their hand at the same time. Then, auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, cost Counterblast 1, choose one of your opponent's rearguards and retire it. Choose one of your quintuplets rearguards, and until end of turn, increase that unit and this unit's power by the power of the unit retired for this effect. If you did not retire, the power increase is instead 10k. So a very nice grade 3 on ride. Look at top 7 and immediately +1 to your hand and +1 to your memory. So you can actually search for Persona Ride with this effect and put it into your hand, and any effect that allows you to search for Persona Ride is automatically good in my book. That second effect, you need a lot in order to get to that point, but if you get to that point, it is a full turn Battledore skill, which full turn Battledore skills are actually much better than just one-time Battledore effects, which is automatically really good. And then that third effect is really interesting. Kind of reminds me of Brewfist, where you can choose your opponent's rear guards and retire it, and then immediately increase this card and one of your rear guards' power. So if you have the grade 2 on board and actually reaches its plus 10k, and you retire like a grade 3 or something, it'll be 33k power, which is really nice. And it's nice that it has a Gandiva-esque effect, where if you don't retire something, you still get something for it. You get plus 10k power to both, which is almost just as good. Like, overall, a very nice grade 3 for the ride line, and it seems like a super fun deck. So I'm excited to see what people do with this one. But we have 3 more cards to cover. The first, we have an order next, which is Memories of the School Festival, Ichika Nakano, who says, it's a quintuplets card by the way. It's a grade 3 normal order that says you may play this card if your Vanguard is Quintessential Quintuplets Ichika Nakano, and says choose up to 2 quintuplets with the same name from your drop zone. Place one on the bottom of your deck and place the other one into your memory. If you chose one or more cards, perform the following based on how many different named quintuplets are in your memory. 3 or more. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. If you do not retire, draw 1. 5 or more. Countercharge 1. 7 or more. Choose one of your vanguards, and until end of turn, it gets continuous vanguard circle. During the battle this unit attacks, your opponent cannot call sentinels from their hand to guardian circle and cannot play blitz orders. So this is a very powerful effect for one order to have. However, it's very hard to get to that 7 or more condition. In fact, in order for you to get to that 7 or more condition, you would have to play more copies of the grade 0 for your ride line, your starter, because it's a quintuplets card, and including that's 7 different named quintuplets cards. So it seems like for this deck, you'll have to play extra copies of your starter, which I don't know how that will really fare. Maybe even just one more, just so you can use its second effect to put one of them into your memory and never have to worry about it ever again. But those other 2 effects are pretty nice. Countercharging 1 is very nice, especially since this deck does Counterblast 1 for its Vanguard and Counterblast 1 for one of its rear guards. And along with that, retiring does play within the deck's strategy. On top of that, another Gandiva-esque effect where you can draw 1. If you actually get to that 7 or more condition, it can be very scary, because you're basically telling your opponent no, because Ichika, your grade 3, is going to be up to like 36 on Persona Ride turns, and along with that, you had to guard 2 or more, and you can't use sentinels or blitz orders, which is crazy, because one of the main upsides of Overdress is that if you have a guard restrict effect, you use a blitz order, but now you can't. So overall, a very nice effect for an order. That 7 or more condition will be pretty hard to fulfill, but once you do, man, you're in the stratosphere. Next up is a grade 1 Incognito Actress Ichika Nakano, who is a quintuplets card. Says auto when placed during your main phase. If your Vanguard is a quintuplets, look at top 3 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 quintuplets card from among them, place it into your memory and shuffle your deck. And then continuous rear guard circle. If you have 3 or more different named quintuplets in your memory, this unit gets plus 2k power. So nice little rear guard piece, can be used super early to just filter out your deck, try to find those cards to put into your memory, maybe even try to find your starter, since this deck is going to play more copies of its starter, which is kind of a problem. But if you can find multiple copies of these and find multiple ways to filter out that starter from your deck, you'll be all the better for it. And that second effect, just a very standard effect where it just gets plus 2k power as a 10k booster or 10k attacker. Pretty nice card overall. And then the last one is the Teasing Love Ichika Nakano, who has the effect auto when placed on a record circle. If your Vanguard is Quintessential Quintuplets Ichika Nakano, cost Counterblast 1, place 1 quintuplets from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. If you have 5 or more different named quintuplets in your memory, draw a card. So this once again plays into the strategy of Ichika, where she controls the board by retiring your opponents, so that you can also work with some of the generic Dragon Empire support, which is nice, but also draws you a card if you just so happen to have 5 or more cards in your memory. So very nice. It's a counterblast cost, but since the order is a countercharger, that's not really a problem for the deck anymore. So not much to say here, just a good card. So that's finally it. We covered everything in this first thoughts segment. Sorry if this video is really long, or sorry if I kind of like was short with some of these cards. There were just a lot. I'm excited to cover the Quintessential Quintuplets Ride Lines because I actually did read the manga before even the anime came out. So I do like the series a lot. So it's exciting to see how these cards translate into Vanguard. And it's kind of interesting how they're not their own collab set. They're just like a collab for the nations, which is kind of cool. So I'm excited to see the rest of them. I'm excited to see Miku because, I mean, she is best girl. But let me know what y'all think about the Dragon Empire cards for set 12. And let me know what you think about the Ichika Ride Line and the memory mechanic as a whole. Do you think it's just like a worse version of Monster Box? Do you think it's interesting and they can do a lot of creative things with it? Let me know. Anyways, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye, guys.